Datadog is a SaaS cloud monitoring and security platform that enables full-stack observability for modern infrastructure and applications at any scale, providing teams dashboarding, alerting, application performance monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, UX monitoring, security monitoring, and log management in one tightly integrated platform, plus 450 plus out-of-the-box integrations with technologies including cloud providers, databases, and web servers. Aggregate all your data into one platform for seamless correlation, enabling teams to troubleshoot and collaborate together in one place, preventing downtime and enhancing performance and reliability. Get started with a free 14-day trial by visiting datadog.com/cloudcast. That's datadog.com/cloudcast.
Cloudcast Media presents from the massive studios in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the Cloudcast with Aaron Delp and Brian Gracely, bringing you the best of cloud computing from around the world.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to the Cloudcast. We are coming to you live from the massive Cloudcast studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hope everybody is doing well. Another Sunday perspective, last Sunday perspective of 2022. Hard to believe we've gotten all the way through the year. It's been an interesting year, some ups and downs. Obviously, lots going on. I thought what I would do in today's show is going to be sort of short. We a lot of times these December shows, essentially the end of year shows, we record ahead of time because we start getting into the holidays. We start spending time with family. We start spending time with friends who might be traveling. We know a lot of people listening to the show are traveling to be with friends and family, or whatever they might be doing this time of year. I know it's time to get away from work, time to relax. So I don't want to make this too long, too deep. We recorded a very, very long one for the year-end wrap-up show. I think we recorded almost an even longer one for the one that'll follow this one, which is the big mailbag show. A lot of people sending us mailbag questions throughout the year. I think we grabbed 10 or 12 or so of those, and that one went really, really long. So I feel like we gave anybody who's traveling over the holidays lots and lots to listen to, if that's what you want to do. And so I thought what I would do in this last Sunday perspective is kind of give a quick perspective on the Sunday perspective. And I know that sounds sort of weird and inceptuous. I forget what the right is. Kind of the layers and layers of stuff. Trust me, it won't be that deep. But I did sort of think about it. I know a lot of people have given us some really nice feedback about the Sunday Perspective show, and kind of wanted to do a little perspective on what it's like to do one of these shows. Not the mechanics of it, because none of you care how we actually make the podcast. But what I thought might be interesting is sort of thinking about what it means to put together a perspective, not just from your own perspective, but sort of thinking about the multiple sides of how we sort of do Sunday Perspective. So we'll try and get to that right after the break. Today's show is sponsored by CloudZero. For software-driven companies focused on growing margins, CloudZero is the only cloud cost intelligence platform that puts engineering in control by connecting technical decisions to business results. By analyzing cloud services like AWS and Snowflake, CloudZero provides real-time cost insights that help you maximize margins. Engineering teams can answer critical questions like, who are my most expensive customers? How much does this specific feature cost our business? What's the cost impact of re-architecting this application? With cost anomaly alerts via Slack, product-specific data views, and granular engineering context that makes it easy to investigate any cost, CloudZero is your complete cloud cost intelligence platform, connecting the dots between high-level trends and individual line items. Join companies like Drift, Rapid7, and SeatGeek by visiting cloudzero.com/cloudcast to get started today. That's cloudzero.com/cloudcast.
It's our mission to give IT pros a break. So here it is. We wish it was longer, but to keep saving IT pros time and money, we only paid for a 30-second ad. From racks and PDUs to backup power, Eaton and Tripp Lite have joined forces to bring more sanity to your day every day. Visit eaton.com/audio today.
And we're back. Last Sunday Perspective show of the year. Thank you all for the kind words that you've given. Sometimes critical words of the show. I appreciate it. When we first started doing the Sunday Perspectives, it was, we get a chance to sit down with a lot of really smart people every week, and kind of pick their brain. And we had some people over the years who sort of go like, yeah, we hear a lot from those folks. We don't always hear a lot from you guys. What do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And that sort of spurred us thinking about doing the Sunday Perspective show. I think it's mostly been me. I don't know if Aaron has done a Sunday Perspective show, although Aaron has promised to start doing some Sunday Perspective show. Now, I will caveat that with Aaron has also promised to build us a new website for more than 10 years. So, whenever Aaron promises to do something around the podcast, it's always a 50-50 proposition. If it's day-to-day for the podcast, he's great at that. If it's a big project, we'll see. We'll see. He's got a track record of that. So yeah, he has said he wants to do some Sunday Perspectives in 2023. I guess he's got some things on his chest he needs to get out. He's got some words on his heart that he wants to get out to the people. So we will absolutely let him do that. Aaron, like myself, has been around for a while, has lots of perspective. We'll see how he does in the Sunday Perspective show. But I thought it might be interesting on this last one of the year to sort of do a perspective on the perspective shows, just because I think it can be useful to folks. And here's where I kind of come from with that. And this show is not going to be very long because, again, it's the holidays and we gave you a couple of really, really long shows that are going to bookend this one, both the year-end wrap-up show as well as the mailbag show. But I thought what was interesting and why I first started doing the Sunday Perspective show, and then I guess why I keep doing them, is I've learned over time, and this can be useful to people kind of no matter where you are in your career and what your job is, and even if you're not in the tech industry, it's very important to be able to think through your thoughts, to go through and say, okay, I have a good understanding of what something is, and understanding it both. I shouldn't just say both. I should say, sort of from a multifaceted perspective, understanding the context of what you're talking about, like how did we get here? And that's why I have a tendency to sort of do some historical context. I know some of you probably think that's incredibly boring. I didn't come for a history show. I could go to some history podcast if I want, but I try and put some things in perspective because, again, our industry has a tendency to repeat itself. The second thing we try and do is give some business and finance context to what's going on, because I think we have a tendency to talk a lot about the technology, and is the technology great, and can the CPUs do this, and can the software do that, and what does design look like and architecture look like, and those are all super interesting. But there are lots and lots of situations in our industry in which things fail, and they fail because people think that it was going to succeed purely based on technology. And so we try and spend some time in the Sunday Perspective looking at it from not just the technology perspective. We also try and look at it from sort of, where did things begin? Conceptually, where did things begin? What big decisions were made? What small decisions were made that had some impact on it? What did the rest of the market do in response to whatever that thing was that we're talking about? Kind of understanding the nature that what we do in our industry itself isn't static. It's not sort of linear. It's not binary, just this happens and hence that happens, or this happens and it happens in a vacuum. So I think that's kind of an important thing to think about. And then I think it's important to, no matter sort of where you come from in thinking about something, sort of let's say my perspective, I try and spend some time thinking about what is the 180 degree difference? What is the diametrically opposed perspective to that perspective? And the reason for that is because, in life, you're going to find plenty of people who, for whatever reason, whether it's politically motivated, money motivated, just technical bias motivated, personality motivated, are going to look at the world completely different than you. And if you don't understand that, if you don't think about that and how you're going to respond to it, you're going to find yourself in a situation in which you may have created the world's greatest next mousetrap, the world's greatest next thing. And if you aren't able to understand the perspective of the people you're trying to influence with it, whether they are customers of your great idea or partners of your great idea or colleagues that are going to help you get there, you're going to struggle. And you may find yourself getting completely shot down because you haven't understood their perspective on it. And their perspective could be the most basic thing, sort of, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, sort of most basic thing, like your idea disrupts their just basic being. It doesn't allow them to eat or have clothing or, shelter or the most basic of things. But it could also be that, you don't understand that they were, they've they've gone down that path before. They've made a mistake. They were, they were sort of emotionally scarred by it. They were upset about it, whatever it was. So I think what I always try to do with the Sunday perspective, and I guess from the reason I'm talking about it is, I think what we're going to see going to next year is you're going to see a lot of environments in which it's really important that you're going to find a perspective on things. You are going to work on a project. You're going to try and take on something new. And you're going to run into people that you need to understand the other side of the perspective. And so I think as you're going into the year, and again, this may not completely apply to all of your jobs, but I suspect it will apply to many of you. I think my guidance from the Sunday perspective was partially inclined because we had some stuff we wanted to talk about. We thought it was interesting to educate the audience. But I think as I've learned over time, the ability to sort of walk through the Sunday perspective, sort of understand it across those multiple dimensions. How did we get here? Where do we want to go in the future? Are there lessons that we can learn from the past? Did we understand the economics of it? Do we understand the people that are on the other side of whatever we're explaining? People who may approve something, who may oppose something, who may need to be your partners and your helpers in making it successful. Do you understand all those different aspects of it? And then, can you not only make a cohesive argument that is backed up by, data, by facts, sometimes by, gut instincts, because if you're trying to predict the future, but then also, do you understand the things that come from their side of the fence? Do you understand their viewpoint, their objections, their concerns? And do you have a way of sort of talking to them? And again, the whole point of these sort of perspectives is not to get you to come to one specific, end conclusion. That's sort of never the goal. It's to sort of help see if you can figure out how to talk around the breadth of what's going on in these bigger, more complicated environments. And so, I guess the thing I would maybe encourage people to do, I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's the holiday season. Do whatever you want. Take your time off. Spend time with family. That's the best thing to do. But as you think about 2023, if you're listening to any of the perspectives and any of them, resonate with you, and they resonate with you from a topic perspective, that's great. But if they resonate with you from the perspective of like, boy, that person talked a whole lot, the reason for the whole talking a whole lot is not to hear myself talk. Trust me, I'm on the scale of things, I fall more towards introverted than extroverted. So I don't get any great energy out of hearing myself talk. In fact, it to a certain extent, it takes up quite a bit of energy in being an external talker. But it's in trying to maybe show people to a certain extent, how to frame up a conversation that you're probably going to have, or a thought process with people that you're probably going to have in order to move some things forward. And especially in 2023, when, budgets will be tight, economics will be tougher than they have been in the past. People's viewpoints on, what's a good idea versus maybe what's a risky idea will change. I think it's helpful to be able to put together a perspective and, not only be really committed to your perspective, but also do the homework to understand the other person's perspective, because oftentimes your passion will be met with as much, in some case cynicism, but some case just survival technique from whoever you're working with. And you've got to sort of understand both sides of it. And, in some cases you might just make yourself a compelling argument as to, why you should get to do what you want to do and why it's a great thing for the business or for the group or for whatever. But you also have to understand that they may come with as much passion and as much data and as much facts and as much reason and rationale as you do. So anyways, so I think the takeaway from this last Sunday perspective of the year is, to think about the perspective of what we do in these Sunday shows. And I think as you're thinking about 2023, I suspect you will run into situations maybe in January as the year begins and you're planning out budgeting and you're planning out what the year will look like, or, later in the year as as the year evolves and the things that you had predicted maybe don't go exactly how you predicted, maybe better, maybe worse. But, think a little bit about, how you would put together a perspective on something. You don't have to record it. You don't have to send it to us. If you feel like it, we'd love to critique it or give you some feedback on it. But I thought I would talk a lot about Sunday perspective, the perspective of perspectives on today's show, and hopefully this little bit of why we do what we do and kind of the framework of what we do can be helpful for you as you're trying to go through some things in 2023 as you're planning to hopefully influence for the better either your job or your group or your company or your industry, or maybe you're making a pitch to somebody to do something new. So anyways, with that, I'm going to keep this short. Again, hope everybody is having a great holiday season. This show is going to end up dropping on Christmas, which we like to be consistent. We like to have a show every Wednesday and Sunday, except for like 1 or 2 weeks in the middle of the summer, typically when we take vacation. We record a bunch of these ahead of time. So, anyways, we're putting this out there for no other reason than consistency. And we know a lot of times people are traveling a lot. So having some podcasts in the queue can be helpful. But anyways, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Everybody, thank you for a great year. Thank you for an amazing year listening to us every Wednesday and Sunday or whenever you listen to the show. Thanks for telling a friend. Thanks for helping us grow the community. We were up 20% this year, which is always amazing to us. So there's another 20% of people who want to give us a little bit of their time. It's a great honor, and we really appreciate that. So with that, happy holidays. Spend time with your family. Hope you're safe and healthy. And we're excited to talk to you again in 2023. Talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Cloudcast. Please visit thecloudcast.net to find more shows, show notes, videos, and everything social media.